Alright folks, welcome back to our journey down the Mississippi with Huck and Jim. If you remember from last time, our two heroes have just escaped their old lives and are now floating down the river on their trusty raft, searching for freedom. This is where the real adventure begins. So Huck and Jim are drifting along, enjoying the peace and quiet of the river at night. They travel mostly after dark to avoid being seen, especially since Jim is a runaway. During the day they hide out. It's a pretty chill life for a while. They talk, they fish, they watch the stars. It's during these quiet moments that Huck really starts to see Jim not as property, but as a person, a friend. He listens to Jim talk about his family and his hopes of buying their freedom. This is a huge deal for Huck, who's been taught his whole life that what he's doing is wrong. One night they spot a wrecked steamboat, the Walter Scott, caught in a storm. Huck's thirst for adventure kicks in, and he convinces a reluctant Jim to go aboard and see if they can salvage anything. Bad idea, Huck. Inside, they overhear two criminals who are about to murder a third man. Huck and Jim get separated in the dark, and their raft breaks loose. Talk about a nightmare. Huck barely manages to find Jim, and they scramble onto the criminals' getaway boat just as the wreck starts to sink, leaving the villains to their fate. Huck feels a bit guilty about this, so he finds a ferry watchman, and cooks up a story to get him to rescue the people on the wreck, though it's probably too late. After that close call, they continue down the river. The main goal is to reach the town of Cairo, where the Ohio River meets the Mississippi. From there, Jim can take a steamboat up the Ohio into the Free States. As they get closer, Huck starts to have a major crisis of conscience. He knows he's helping Jim escape, which society tells him is a terrible sin. He feels so guilty that he decides he's going to paddle ashore and turn Jim in. But then, just as Huck is about to go, Jim says something that changes everything. He tells Huck he's the only friend old Jim's got now. He talks about how grateful he is and how Huck is the best friend he's ever had. This hits Huck hard. He can't bring himself to betray his friend. A moment later, some men in a skiff paddle up looking for runaway slaves. When they ask Huck who's on his raft, Huck, in a brilliant moment of quick thinking, makes up a story about his family being on board with smallpox. The men, terrified of getting sick, give Huck some money and paddle away as fast as they can. Huck has saved Jim, but he feels like he's done a wicked thing. He just sighs and says, "All right then, I'll go to hell," deciding to stick with Jim no matter what. Their troubles aren't over though. In a thick fog, Huck and Jim get separated again. They whoop and call for each other, but the fog is too dense. When Huck finally finds the raft again, he decides to play a prank on Jim, pretending the whole separation was just a dream Jim had. Jim is overjoyed to see him at first, but when he sees the debris on the raft from the fog, he realizes Huck was lying to him. Jim gets genuinely hurt and tells Huck that friends shouldn't play such mean tricks on each other. Huck feels terrible, and after a long 15 minutes, he humbles himself and apologizes to Jim. This is a huge turning point in their relationship. Huck has treated Jim as an equal, a true friend. Tragically, they believe they've passed Cairo in the fog. Even worse, a massive steamboat comes barreling down on them in the dark, smashing their raft to pieces. Huck dives one way, Jim the other. The video ends with Huck swimming for his life, getting to shore, and being surrounded by a pack of barking dogs. Where's Jim? Is the raft gone for good? You'll have to tune in for part 3 to find out. Thanks so much for watching. If you're enjoying following Huck's story, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of our adventure. See you next time.